Did you know you can relieve common medical conditions with the treasures in your spice cabinet like cinnamon, turmeric, and honey? Our guest today, Jaya Jaya Myra, is a former immunologist turned mind-body wellness expert and best-selling author. She's been featured in hundreds of media interviews globally, including Today, NBC, ABC, CBS, Fox, the Los Angeles Times, the Times of India, the Toronto Sun, Forbes, Parents, Women's World Reader's Digest, and many more. Her nonprofit Gita for the Masses is a 501(c)(3) charitable nonprofit organization created to help people overcome obstacles and be victorious in life. I know you're going to hear so many amazing, interesting, fun facts you may or may not have already known about what's in your own kitchen that can help you and your family. So enjoy the show. Hello, this is Mary Jo Tinlin from the Teaching Your Toddler Show. Today, we have a very special guest, and I can't wait for you to hear what she's going to tell us about some things that you probably have in your own home right now. So, Jaya Jaya Myra is joining us today. Tell us a little bit about yourself, Jaya Jaya, and also tell us a little bit about your background and what we need to know about you.
Absolutely. Well, I am an author and a speaker in the mind, body, wellness, and consciousness space. I started my career as a research scientist. I was working in the field of immunology and cancer research. A pretty debilitating fibromyalgia diagnosis rocked and completely changed my world, destroyed everything. And the icing on that cake was that Western medicine made me worse, not better. So I walked away from everything for a while and found natural approaches to 100% completely heal. And then I just moved my life in a very different direction and started looking at things a lot more holistically at that point and relying on it as a go-to. Completely changed my career. I'm very much a writer and a communicator. As being an author, I also run a communications agency, so I help other people communicate their messages effectively to people. And yes, I'm just very passionate about consciousness and holistic wellness. I don't think that there's any one magic secret bullet that's going to change your life, but there are a whole ton of small practical things that you can do that will make a world of difference.
Well, I can't wait to hear more about that because I know that I think people just they need that. They need that. And I love that your background is in science. I think a lot of people think holistic stuff is, oh, all the
It's
woo-woo,
woo-woo.
but right. I mean, but you have a science-based background. So I love that. So tell us a little bit about some of those things that we need to know.
Man, where to begin? So many things. My
Immunity,
first
health, mood, all the things. I know, when kids are having a meltdown, right? Like, what are some of the things we could do if a kid is having a meltdown?
Well, when kids are having a meltdown, it's really big on letting them learn how to regulate their emotions. I think the biggest thing is not always intervening. We intervene on people's feelings far too often, and we don't let people really feel or express. And that's not healthy because it keeps things bottled up. So sometimes allowing the meltdown, but then being there to soothe after. I think like that is a really good way of going about it because if you're chastising someone for having feelings and emotions, that actually closes people off and that can lead to more avoidant attachment styles down the road, which do not create healthy relationships for anyone, either for them or for the people that are in their life. And it actually inhibits health, well-being, and overall success in general. So since the work that I do is very much about mind, body, and soul well-being, they are all connected. And the way that we express ourselves, the way that we feel, is just as important as what we believe, what we do for our spirituality, what we do with our physical body in terms of food and exercise and diet. Like all of these things have impact on each other. But I like to really talk about the impacts of food because we all have to eat food every day if we want to stay healthy, right? Unless you're fasting for a little bit, but we all need to eat food. And it's one of the simplest things that you can do to improve both your physical well-being, but also your mental health and well-being. Science now understands that a lot of our mental health starts in our gut. It's that prebiotic probiotic connection. Your microbiome actually affects your brain chemistry and your mood. Most of the serotonin in the body, which is one of our happy hormones, actually is made in the gut based on the foods that we eat, over 90% of it. So there's many different food-based angles that we can take. One, to keep our microbiome thriving and strong, and two, to eat foods that are going to invoke very specific biochemical reactions in the body. So this is kind of my science background coming into play, or I like geeking out on things like that. But it is very simple. If we eat the right things and avoid the right things, you can have a much more level, healthy, balanced mindset and mood, which is going to facilitate good in just about every other area of your life.
That's amazing. So tell us a little bit about some of the food that you recommend. And I know specifically, I think you're going to tell us about spices, right?
Yes, absolutely. Now, I am a huge advocate and fan for your spice rack in your kitchen. Should be your go-to number one resource for boosting your health, immunity, overall well-being. For those of us that have kids in the house, we know that staying healthy is super important. Their immune systems need time to grow and develop, but eating the proper spices can definitely help with that. There's tons of spices that have medicinal impact, both to boost your immunity, to reduce inflammation in the body. Inflammation is a primary source of chronic pain. So people who suffer from fibromyalgia, people who are suffering from long COVID, actually CDC statistics were showing by the end of 2023, it was a little over 24% of the US population suffered from chronic pain. I was pretty astounded by that number. That's like over
Quarter
81
of
million
us.
people. Yes.
Wow.
And a lot of this is based on inflammation in the body. When the body is inflamed, that's what causes that chronic pain because it can't settle down and heal. So whenever there's inflammation, it also means that your sympathetic nervous system is on overdrive and the parasympathetic aspect hasn't had the ability to kick in and recharge. So the sympathetic is like the fight or flight aspect of the nervous system, and the parasympathetic is the one that governs rest, regeneration, healing, sleep, those things that actually keep you healthy. So when your nervous system gets overstimulated and out of balance, that definitely contributes to inflammation. Foods can cause inflammation. It's like a whole storm of things like that happens at once. So you start to manage inflammation through foods that will reduce it. You are at least letting your body get back to a place where you have a chance that your parasympathetic nervous system can kick in and start doing its work. So, like rest, mindfulness, meditation, proper dietary changes, these things can do a world of good. And as I had mentioned, I was diagnosed with fibromyalgia before, and I had to heal 100% naturally. And that was solely on a platform of mindfulness, meditation, and dietary changes.
Mindfulness, meditation, and dietary changes. Wow.
Mhm.
So, uh, uh, can you tell us a little bit about, well, I'd love to hear, of course, the dietary changes for sure, but I think most people are familiar with meditation, but when you say mindfulness, what are you talking about there?
Consciousness and intention. So, mindfulness can be any active sort of thing that we do that's trying to yield a conscious, intentional result where we're responding to a situation as opposed to giving a knee-jerk reaction. So, being mindful about what it is, what do we want the outcome of something to be versus just reacting. Like if someone comes to you angry, you might react and get angry in return. That's very, very normal, right? So, a mindful response would be to sit and pause to look at why something is happening. Well, okay, well, why is this person angry with me? And actually responding to the situation and not the emotion that has been put out there. Because emotions are always byproducts. But if we get back to the source of what the issue is, we can tackle the actual problem head on and usually get more meaningful results. So, eating the proper foods helps us to stay mindful, clear, and attentive to these things to where we're not as likely to go and react. That still takes concentration and practice to learn how to be intentional, but it's not as intense as people think it is. It just takes some sincerity of heart and a little bit of practice and self-awareness. And then if we fuel our body with the right foods, we get the right amount of exercise, we're taking vitamins, doing that stuff. We're just helping to facilitate the cycle naturally. So this is why I really do gravitate to food because it's the most common thing that we do. We usually eat food 3, 4, maybe 5 times a day. Maybe people, if they're in a good habit, will meditate once a day. So food is the most common thing that we can do to make these changes. So for me, I think one of the most important things is reducing inflammatory foods in general. And which number one on that list would be refined processed sugars. So if there's any ability to ditch the white sugars in what you're doing, go for more refined things, brown sugar, palm sugar, maybe some agave nectar, maple syrup, things like that. That's going to automatically be more healthy for the body. And then you still satiate that sweet tooth that we have. I know I have a sweet tooth at least. But also like anti-inflammatory things like turmeric, ginger. These are powerful, powerful anti-inflammatory foods, and that can just help the body to reset and feel better. And it can also boost your energy levels. There's a lot of things that go along with inflammation in the body. Do you know what some of those are?
Tell us.
So, chronic pain, generally not feeling good, brain fog, fatigue, low energy levels, irritability, lack of sleep. All of these things can be related to having inflammation in the body. So when we're able to reduce the inflammation naturally, you will just be a little bit more active, more vibrant, more energetic. It's like you feel like you have room to breathe. So
Mm,
it's a little bit more prevalent than people realize. I think a lot of people suffer from inflammation in the body without even realizing it. Like you may not have the outer symptoms if you tend to be healthy, but you can still have inflammation. It's usually when people get to a point that they're just absolutely on the far end of the spectrum and
mhm,
they're in pain and they're exhausted. That's when they take it seriously. But let's try to take the things a little more seriously early on so that we can prevent it and just stay healthy overall.
mhm. So besides high sugar, what other things I know that there's some mixed feelings about like dairy. What about those kinds of foods?
Absolutely. Milk and cheese are also inflammatory. And for that reason, I don't have them in my diet. I don't consider myself to be vegan because I have honey. I'll make ghee out of butter, things of that nature, and I eat fish. But I don't eat other meat, and I do not do dairy or cheese, period, end of story, because they are inflammatory to the body. And now, cheese and dairy also produce serotonin, which make you feel good. So you can't say that these things are bad for you, but you got to pick and choose your battles. So
Mhm,
for me, having a history of fibromyalgia, I know that managing inflammation is like at the top of my list of priorities. So I avoid the milk and the cheese. And there's tons of other foods out there that'll create serotonin and dopamine and oxytocin in the body naturally. So I gravitate towards those. And then I just feel better because I like to be super active. One of the things that I do is competitive ballroom dancing. So I am always on the dance floor. I'm dancing almost every day of the week. And if I'm not able to be super active and limber and out there, like I just don't feel good about myself. And I can't do that. If I eat the wrong foods or I go and I get some super processed thing with refined sugar, God forbid I were to have a slice of pizza or something, I wouldn't really be able to move afterwards. It's almost just like you get stiff and achy, which you may not think of as chronic pain, but it's definitely debilitating to living a vibrant and active life.
mhm.
I would actually challenge a lot of people if you can go without milk and cheese for a month, see how different you feel. Like
Ooh.
keep a journal of these things. There's so many great alternatives out there, whether it's coconut milk or almond milk, oat, soy. There's so many different things but and honestly, if you're going for the desserts, the vegan ones tend to taste better because milk tends to dampen flavor because it's
Mm,
so thick.
mm.
But other more natural alternatives, even if it's like coconut milk, or if you go with oat or almond or something, these things actually amplify the flavor of foods. I
Ah.
often give vegan things to friends of mine, and they're like, "There's like no way this is vegan. This is so good." I'm like, "That is actually why it's good because your flavor profile is being amplified because it's not deadened by refined sugars and like the
Mhm.
really thick milk or cream." So,
I had
good
my
thing.
friend made some brownies the other day and she put ancho chili powder in them.
That sounds
And
amazing.
oh my gosh, it was.
Mhm.
so good. And but that was a way that she integrated some spice into foods with her kids because it's
Yes.
not as spicy as some of the others, but you still get that little bit of the bite of it, and it was so delicious. Do you have any other sort of things that you can like kind of sneak in like that for maybe kids that aren't used to that don't have that palate?
Absolutely. Absolutely. So I just made brownies last week myself, and the key ingredient was sweet potato.
Oh.
And these are the best brownies I've like had in my life. So yes, a lot of times when you do look at more of the vegan recipes, they get very creative. So sweet potato is used frequently. Avocado is used as a
Mhm.
thickening agent. You can make the most delectable chocolate mousse with avocado.
I did that
It,
once and I tricked the kids and they were like, "What? What?" And they loved
exactly.
it.
And I think a lot of this is just mindset
Mhm.
shifting so that kids, one, learn how to expand their palate and eat a variety of foods. And we don't want kids to learn to think about healthy foods as not being tasty because that's not true. If something doesn't taste good, it's because it hasn't been flavored with the right spices or cooked in a way to make it tasty.
Good point. You brought up honey, and I was just reading recently about honey. Actually, this morning I was reading an article like it doesn't spoil, it never goes bad, but they still say you have to be careful with it with little like
You
under
do.
one. So
You do.
what's the deal with honey?
So if the honey is more raw and unprocessed, just because like an infant's immune system is not fully built up yet, it won't have the resistance that it needs to combat maybe some of those things that could be found in the honey. Now, when your immune system has been trained, you've already gotten sick a few times, you've grown a little bit older, having those little pings and stimuli will not make you sick, but it's actually going to make your immune system stronger. It's just you got to reach over that threshold. So usually they recommend that, yes, like a baby be at least 1 years old before you're
Mm-hmm.
consuming honey and definitely raw honey. And raw honey is where the medicinal benefits really are. And if
Right.
you want to get super medicinal, go with Manuka honey
Manuka.
because that is made from the tea tree plant. So tea tree oil is
Ah.
highly medicinal in other ways and gets rid of like fungus and all sorts of
Mm-hmm.
things. Some people don't like the taste of Manuka honey because it can taste very medicinal. It depends how concentrated you get it. You can buy it in all sorts of different potencies. Very expensive, very worth it. I incorporate it into my morning tea at least a few times a month, just as like a standard go-to.
Mm-hmm. So
Um,
now would that be a different, because I've heard also that you're supposed to use local honey because of
Yes,
the
the
bees are around
allergy.
you. Is that true?
That's absolutely true. So if you are able to get local honey, you will probably suffer less from seasonal allergies
Oh.
because the bees are basically feeding on the pollens that are in your area, and then you're getting micro doses of this in the honey, and you are becoming more tolerant to it naturally. That's something that I've used for at least the last 16 to 18 years, every spring, every fall. I always get local honey, but I also have a separate stock of Manuka honey, like just high quality. It's usually like the New Zealand honey is like
Okay.
one of the most popular brands of it. But yeah, I always have my raw local honey, and then I have a stock of Manuka honey on hand at
So
all
you
times.
have both.
Like my
Okay, that makes
kitchen
sense.
and my spice cabinet is very well packed.
Yeah. And how do you source your spices?
So I just go to a local spice shop. I like to get my spices usually in their whole form and like grind them myself or use a mortar and pestle to grind them, but you absolutely do not have to do that. But you know, I live in New York City, so we've got so many things accessible and I like to support local businesses. So there's a spice shop that I go to here in the city that I get most of my stuff from directly. And there's a few things that like I'll order online or I'll have to go to an Indian or Middle Eastern grocer for. But
Hmm.
outside of that, mostly, yeah, I
Hmm.
go local.
Do you try for organic if possible?
Always organic. If it's
Hmm.
going to set foot into my house, it has to be organic food, organic produce, organic anything when and where possible.
I like that rule. Yeah, I mean,
It's a
we
little different when
try.
you eat out, of course, but being mindful about where you get your food. I
Hmm.
will always eat more from places that are plant-based, non-GMO, and organic.
Hmm. Hmm. Is there anything? kind of kid staple food. Is there any foods that you can think of that you could sort of jazz up, like, kids like, I don't know, kids that aren't allergic to peanut butter, they can eat peanut butter
Yes.
sandwich. Like, is there other things that you would recommend that maybe moms could incorporate?
I really do like the idea of the brownies and the desserts and making them in a super healthy way because, like the recipe that I had, it incorporated the base was sweet potato and almond butter
Oh, wow.
and maple syrup. So everything that's in there is actually pretty healthy for you. And when you can, as the kids like start to get older, you can talk to them about this. I think just the exposure to a variety of foods, cooking your vegetables and your greens in a way that actually makes them appetizing,
Mm,
making desserts that are healthy. Like if you set this as a foundation that like we're going to eat really well, we value food for the nutrition and the energy that it brings us and the enjoyment from that. This is what the children will learn, and they will learn how to like the things. And they'll probably not like the other ones as much. Honestly, you lose a taste for the refined sugars and the unhealthy stuff the more that you're eating healthy, because when you eat healthy and you're actually satisfying your tastes, you feel so much better.
hmm
A lot of
Yeah.
times, eating is not mindful. So
Mm,
we just do it because we're trying to satiate an emotion. But when we actually eat in a healthy way and you're getting sustained energy, you're getting focus and clarity, there's nothing that can replace that. And
hmm
kids, they want to run around and have all the fun in the world anyway. So let's give them some high energy things like the brownies, the sweet potatoes with the maple syrup and the almond butter. Like this is going to give energy for a long period of time, stuff like that.
Absolutely.
So,
Yeah.
and it can be the same thing, like maybe you're making pancakes or something fun in the morning. You can also incorporate like different blends into that. I don't
Mm,
maybe make something that's like a little bit more from scratch, but still not
hmm
super time consuming.
hmm
Uh, if you cook with spelt flour, for example, spelt helps you to feel fuller for longer and will naturally reduce blood sugar levels. If we're worried about blood sugar and diabetes in the family in general, the other go-to is cinnamon, like the actual real cinnamon, Ceylon cinnamon, not the cassia cinnamon.
hmm
Cinnamon is a wonderful, wonderful spice to reduce blood sugar naturally, and just generally keep you healthy. Like cinnamon is a go-to for me. Try to put cloves in foods and desserts. It's very strong, but cloves are highly, highly medicinal and antimicrobial. Oregano is the same way. I know you see like there's oil of oregano supplements that we can take like when we get sick, but if you can
hmm
incorporate like oregano, thyme, things like this,
hmm
put it in your pasta sauce, put it in some very basic staples. These things are going to like boost the immunity naturally as well. And one of my go-to is also like cumin, a lot of the Indian spices. If you can get a great masala blend or a great like cumin blend, there's so many medicinal spices that are already in that are going to have a host of benefits, like for your health and well-being. So
Yeah, I buy some masala blend from a local Indian grocery and I just
yes,
love it. It's just so rich. I'm glad that you noted that about cinnamon too, because I think a lot of people don't realize that a lot of the cinnamon we get from the store is not really cinnamon.
it's
It's
not.
cassia, right?
It's cassia and it's not
Yeah.
cinnamon. Yet you have to get actual Ceylon cinnamon,
hmm
and that's going to have a ton of benefits
And
to it.
it's such a better flavor too, right? It's so much richer.
And you know what? I put it in my coffee or in my
hmm
latte or
Me too.
cappuccino. So
Yes.
like, for all of us adults out there, we can just throw it in our morning or afternoon coffee. I actually start my day with tea every day. So
Mm.
I'm adding my raw honey to my tea and a little bit of like vegan creamer. And I usually use like monk fruit as well, like a
Mm-hmm.
monk fruit powder, because then I'm already getting a little bit of sugar from the honey, but then I pop it up a bit more with like monk fruit. Um, Erythritol, I can't take. It
Mm,
makes me bloated.
oh
I
yeah.
don't feel
So
good.
so no stevia then probably.
I haven't really tried much with stevia either, but I just stick to the monk fruit because
hmm
I've watched, like, if I have erythritol, the scale will go up and up and up and up. And I'm like, this is just, it's causing some sort of
Interesting.
weird inflammatory bloating thing to happen.
Hmm.
So I personally stay away from it. So sometimes when you try to go healthy,
hmm
it's not going to have the results that you want. So
That's
this is why
right.
We
That's good
watch
to know.
inflammation, we watch blood sugar, we watch
Hmm.
just try to get the foods also that are high in fiber because that's the prebiotics that we need to keep the microbiome in the body healthy. And as long as your microbiome is healthy and happy, that in itself will help to regulate your mental health and well-being. So
Can you?
fiber is not just for digestion and elimination, it's actually for your mental health.
Oh, wow. That's interesting. I
That's
don't
one
think
of
people
the
think about that.
No, most people don't. And there's this whole emerging field known as nutritional psychology, which really wasn't a thing prior to the past maybe 5 or 6 years, but about the impacts of foods on your mental health, your mood, and your well-being. I mean, spices and foods were our oldest medicine, and thanks to the pharmaceutical industry, we've gotten away from that. And that's unfortunate because that should be your number one go-to source for staying healthy.
That's right. And it's right in your home. It's in your kitchen, right? Just like we were saying.
Yeah.
Yep,
So
right
cinnamon
there.
is like at the top of my list. Turmeric and ginger. I have ginger every single day. I usually
Mhm.
have like a ginger shot. I love cumin. I love like the different spice blends. You can't beat oil of oregano or manuka honey if you're starting to get sick. And
Mm-hmm.
just trying to eat balanced and incorporating more healthy foods into the daily diet is not that difficult, and children really do like them if that's what they get exposed to. When
Yes.
my kids were young, they ate super healthy, and there was just like no question, there was no complaint around this because they were just, this is just what we did in the
Yeah.
house.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
That's fantastic. Yeah, oregano, when the minute I feel anything is the first thing I go to for sure as well. Gosh, this has been amazing. Thank you for so much of this. This I think this is going to really help people think differently about their food, about their spice cabinet, about what they can give their kids. Is there anything else before I let you go? And then I also want you to tell us how to find you. Of course, we'll have all the links in our show notes as well.
I think the most important thing to take out of this is get yourself and your own palate and your children's palate diversified and incorporating a wide variety of different spices. Almost every single spice on the planet will have a medicinal benefit of something. But the more that you are acclimated to eating and enjoying and eating the healthy foods, the easier it's going to be to learn to incorporate and use them on a regular basis. I
Thank
really
you.
do attribute my spice rack to never coming down with COVID, even though I live in the heart of Manhattan in New York City.
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
I moved square into the city, into Manhattan, right during the middle of the pandemic when everyone was fleeing. I'm like laughing. I'm like, I'm going to take advantage of those super lowered rents and cost of living. And I moved like square into the middle of the city. Never got sick, but it's because of the way I facilitate my diet and my lifestyle.
Mm-hmm. Wow. That's really powerful. Thank you. Thank you so much. Oh, goodness. Thanks again for speaking to us today. Let us know, how would you like people to find you?
Very easy to find. Jaya Jaya Myra on all social media, and my website is jayajayamyra.com. Definitely check out some stuff. You can check out my books on the website, Soul of Purpose, Vibrational Healing. They're very good resources for you understanding your specific purpose and energy type and how to find holistic methods that are going to work for you.
This has been the Teaching Your Toddler Show with Mary Jo Tinlin. Thank you so much for joining us today. If you enjoyed today's show, please leave a 5-star review or a thumbs up so we can reach more parents like you. To be notified when new shows post, please subscribe by sending an email to subscribe@teachingyourtoddler. For more expert interviews, fun activities, and storytime podcasts, please visit our website at teachingyourtoddler.com. All of our shows are also posted as videos as well on our YouTube channel at Mary Jo Tinlin. Find us on Facebook at Teaching Your Toddler, X at Teaching Toddler, Instagram at Teaching Your Toddler, and make sure you check out our past shows. We have so many diverse topics. There's most likely more shows that you will enjoy. Thanks for joining us, and come back and see us again real soon.